and welcome to Across the Park podcast, the blue-only podcast of Across the Park. We've got a full house tonight. Judgy's just finished bathing the guinea pigs, and Millsy is here as well. So we're all ready to go. How are we doing, boys?
All good, and that's anyone's thinking like Pricey is just being funny there. Legitimately, Judgy has just been bathing guinea pigs. That right, Judge?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for anyone who owns guinea pigs who live outside, there's an interesting story this for you. When it gets into the winter, and obviously it gets a bit damp in the hutch, they can get a bit minty. So, despite the fact they're not my guinea pigs, they're meant to be my daughters. I've ended up fathering them. So I went out and seen them this morning. They looked all dirty. So I was like, right, I'm gonna bath them tonight.
Top guinea pig owner, down there.
Yeah, that's it. We promote animal care on this show as well.
Yeah. Right, let's get the admin out the way first of all. So we want to say thank you to our sponsors as we always do. So first of all, Globe Gas and Plumbing. If you look at our socials, all the details are there for how to access their website, but it is globecentralheating.com. And if you quote ATP, you get 10% off your bathroom or heating quotes. So 10% off by quoting ATP when booking. As I said before, he's a local lad, local Evertonian, so it's good to be involved with him and partner with him. So if anybody's interested or getting a quote on that, then please do so. We're also sponsored by, and we're waiting for our packages actually, Judgy, by Ver Clothing. I gave you my sizes last week. I'm still waiting for my
top. So yeah, Megan, get on it. You need to get us our clothes out, otherwise we're not mentioning you anymore. We've actually got a t-shirt on at the moment, but yeah, they give us a few t-shirts a while back. We do some of the autumn winter range, so check them out. I was trying to upload some pictures before, but I think you need to actually have a video to put it on here. But check them out. It's fairclothing.com. And as with Globe, it's a discount if you quote ATP, but it's ATP 20, so you get 20% off your order. So put that when you check out ATP 20% off. They've got a load of new stuff out, so check them out. I think they're also sponsoring the Anfield Wrap, but I'm not going to tell you their code.
Don't do that no more, Judge. We don't do that no more.
Purely Evertonian. It's right. So that's fine. So if you're interested in getting your heating, your plumbing, go over to Globe Gas and Plumbing, and if you're clothing, it's Ver Clothing for your clothing. So now get back onto the footy, boys. So in terms of the weekend's action, Southampton away, really good win for the Blues. Didn't start too well, I believe. I didn't watch the full game myself. I had seen the highlights on Match of the Day, but it didn't start too well, I believe. And then obviously conceding the goal, but came back into it. Judge, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, I know you admittedly said before you didn't catch too much of the game last weekend because you were busy, but we done okay. We just looked a little bit toothless in that first half. I think it's fair to say we were on top from a possession point of view, and we look bright. We look lively, as this team have done most times we've seen them this year, full of energy, getting about the pitch. That midfield three did, I think, get control of the game quite early. I think me and you said last week, Pricey, it'd be important that we tried to really impose ourselves physically on Southampton, because that's what they tend to do to other teams. I think we won them battles quite early, but we just lost our way a little bit as the first half went on. And as you say, they managed to get the nose in front in the second half. And I think most Evertonians, regardless of whether you're positive about this Lampard team, you don't tend to fancy us when we go a goal down, particularly as this team has not been blessed with goals. And me and you last week said to Price, we thought it was going to be tough. And I certainly, on the day, especially when they went 1-0 up, I couldn't see us getting two, but thankfully we did. Again, the team showing a lot of character, but again, showing that cutting edge, which we have lacked at times. Brilliant to see Connor Cody get on the score sheet, because he's had the plaudits at the back. He should have had that goal in the derby, but he, as much as anyone else, deserved that goal. And yet it was really pleasing. I mean, I think of the two players that I would have chose to score before the game, they probably would have been the two. I mean, Dwight McNeil's had a tough time since he's come in, but he looks like he's been devoid of confidence. I think that goal, it was a terrific strike. That'll do him the world of good as well. So many positives in the end to take out of that game. And as we built up, and as I incorrectly said, that it was a place that we haven't won for, I think it was 5 or 6 years, and I got corrected all over the place. It is a tough place for us to go, though. I'm not gonna let myself on that. I think it was a brilliant win, and again, a lot of positives to take from it. Millsy?
I think you covered a lot of it there. I think going a goal down, I'm probably on this podcast the more negative of the three of us. And when we went a goal down, turned to the missus and I said, "That's us done. I can't see you scoring 2 goals." But it's just a character now. It's different, isn't it? I'm trained as an Evertonian that we don't have that many leaders and that many characters, and all of a sudden we have, and we've touched upon that on this show. The window is sort of, or the 2 windows, if you will, and the incomings of the new coaching staff and the director of football. It's like a wave of fresh air into the club. And I was guilty of looking at the old Everton, 1-0 down, bang, 1-1, and then, like you say, Dwight McNeil, a great finish. And just to sort of piggyback on what you said there, Judge, he put a really nice social media post out where he admittedly said, "Look, I've tried to work on my confidence. I've tried to work on everything to be a better player. I really hope the Toffee fans enjoyed that." And I thought that was a really nice social media post to put out there. It wasn't like a self-promotion sponsored by a shaving company or whatever and blah, blah, blah. It was a legitimate young lad who just wants to play football and do well. And I think me at times, and maybe some Evertonians, do look beyond that, but we are only football fans. But you're really right in highlighting that. I think it's really big, and who knows, for someone who's already talking about confidence issues, who knows what that could do to someone like that, who's obviously a young footballer that the club have identified that can help make us better. He scores the winning goal. He goes over to that away end, and we've seen the scenes, the videos, that away end. If you were there and you're watching this, bravo, you were unbelievable. All I could hear watching the game was that away end and the videos and stuff at the end. It felt, to me, Judgy, it just felt big. And I can't explain why. Maybe it's momentum. It just felt big.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It felt like not only for Dwight McNeil or whatever, it felt like a real, not a statement, that's a bit dramatic to say a statement, but again, I think this team, when it's starting to build up a little bit of a head of steam, not only like in results, but I think in almost achievements. Coming back from behind is an achievement. Keeping the clean sheets that they have as achievement. The best defence in the league now, statistically, which we're going to go on to later on, is an achievement. You know, there's a stability about the team, even, you know, in the face of some slight adversity in that window where we lost Patterson to injury. Coleman comes in and shows what he can still offer the team. That back 4 or 5, Pickford comes back in and shows what we've missed. And shows what a big, you know, asset to the team he is. I think there's a lot to be positive about. Look, for me, and I know you two were, I wouldn't say critics of the signing, but a bit more apprehensive, which a lot of Evertonians were. I think Maupay brought a lot to that side, you know, just a menace, and he just gets about, and he's always in the area. He's never going to score 25 goals. He's never going to be that marquee signing. I think that the Evertonians want, but I think he gives a lot to that squad, and he seems to have fitted right in from a personality point of view as well.
Sorry, Mo.
I was going to say, Price, I was just going to make a comparison there, where Everton, almost, we're showing our age now, 18 years ago, probably needed a big reset, and we sort of looked at signings that summer, didn't get too excited by them, but what we did bring in that summer in 2004 was really good, honest players who just worked hard. And I think Neil Maupay, I'm not overly excited by it. I don't think he's going to score enough goals that he will have a long Everton career if we improve like I hope we do. But certainly you can't fight what he's bringing so far, and what he's bringing is hard work. And he seems to enjoy playing for Everton. And that reminds me of Marcus Spence in 2004.
Yeah, I think so. Is it Maupay coming in now? Is that because Maupay is a decent player? It's because we've missed that focal point up front, and when he comes, it helps the team play better. I don't know. Is that the reason why? Because I'm I've said before, wasn't overwhelmed with him coming in, but we definitely needed a number 9 to come in and play in the team. Is it the way we're playing? So for example, if that was Calvert-Lewin, would the focal point make the team play better and make us a better team, or is it Maupay that's having that impact on it?
I don't know. I just think credit to him the way that he's come and settled in, and he's recognised what the team's needed from him. It is that focal point. I mean, you look at his stature. He's not a big lad. You know, he's not 6'4", strapping, you know, number 9. We spoke before that Southampton game of how Che Evans could have been more of the player that we needed in terms of his physique. But on the day, Maupay was a better player, was a better forward. He led the line for us better than Che Adams did for Southampton. I just think it was I don't want to say shrewd because he's been in the Premier League for a long time, and it's not like no one knows who Neil Maupay is. But I think it was a clever little buy, if you know what I mean. I think he wasn't a direct foil for Calvert-Lewin because he's a completely different player. But now he's starting to look at him and go, well, you put him alongside Calvert-Lewin every now and again, and there may be a handy pairing. Or if Calvert-Lewin's off the boil and needs resting, he's not a bad player to come in. I just think he adds a bit of balance to that forward line, and I think for the money we've spent on him and what he's already offered, I think it looks like a better signing now than maybe perhaps we thought at first.
Do you know what? Just on Maupay, I tend to disagree in how we signed him. I think we sort of fell into him, but I think we fell into Marcus Bent. I think in 2004, did David Moyes on May 31st want Marcus Bent? No, but on August 1st he did. I think we sort of fell into a situation which may end up benefiting us. And like I said, without repeating myself, is he someone who's going to get you a lot of goals? No, but I think us Evertonians, what we do like and what we will latch on to is just someone playing for that badge, just someone wearing that badge. And if you win, lose or draw, he's put a shift in. And so far, you can't argue against that, can you? You can't.
And we look like as a team, we look like we've got that more personality, don't we? And players who want to fight for the badge and players who want to have a goal and coming back from behind. As I say, as Judgy said, it's in our place, St Mary's to go. To come back from behind just shows that bit of spirit that we've got. But Judgy, you mentioned there about having best defensive record in the Premier League, 7 goals conceded so far this season. And obviously, if you don't concede, I know we did concede against Southampton, but if you don't concede, you can't lose, and that's sort of the attitude I think Lampard and his staff have taken to start with in order to build something. Obviously, we spoke about Tarkowski and Cody last week, and the midfield as well. But do you think it's as much as it's the defensive and a goalkeeping pride to have a clean sheet? I think it's more of a team thing, isn't it?
It's a collective mentality, isn't it? I think that generally seems to be the mantra for the squad. Is look, we're hard to beat. Whether it's talking about being deep behind the ball or getting in teams' faces, we've got to be competitive. And in fairness, that's the one thing that Lampard has been 1,000,000% consistent about since the day he walked through the door, is being competitive in every game, work rate, attitude. And that is everything that this team demonstrates, I think, on a weekly basis. Whatever you get from them, I mentioned the word toothless before, which at times we look like in the final third, or lacking ideas. We're never lacking ideas off the ball. It's always to try and make things difficult for the opposition and to deny them space in key areas. And, whether it's the coaching team, but, as you say, whether it's the personalities we brought in the back that's really driving it, which I think it is. Tarkowski and Cody are old school defenders. We've said that a number of times. Even Mikalenko is an old school fullback. He likes defending. So I think that's made a big difference, having those, that type of, that type of attitude back there. But, the overwhelming thing is this team doesn't want to get beat. It's willing to grind out results. And I think that's a good trait to have, because, listen, let's be honest, even though, we're not high up the league or whatever, this is quite a good patch for us. We're going to have some tough patches this season, but I think if you've got that type of charisma in there and that togetherness, you'd like to think that we'll come through those tough patches as well.
Yeah, and Millsby, talking about a few signings we've had there, one signing who hasn't featured so far is James Garner. We had a conversation, a tweet from Liam D asking whether you think James Garner. I'll just read the tweet out. It says, "Hey lads, how do we see a path into the team for James Garner? I doubt he came here to sit on his arse. Is he dependent on one of the settled 3 coming out? We need one of him or McNeil to start for the dead ball expertise, which is a good headache to have." Speaking about defensive, and me and Judge lax critical about the midfield last week, but can you see how do you see James Garner fitting in? Is he happy to sit on the bench and bide his time?
I think he's got to be. And look, this sounds really strange because I'm excited to see him, but I'm not ready to see him because the current midfield 3 are doing that well, and I don't think it's time to sort of break that up. I understand that some fans want to see him, and I want to see him. I think we'll probably see him at Bournemouth away in the League Cup. I think we've got that in November. I think you may see him come in there. I think, and Judgy, you may agree or disagree, I think he's got to be really patient, because it was Tom Davis who came on at St Mary's on Saturday when we needed to change things up. and rightfully so, Tom Davies has started the season well. I think Garner is probably 5th choice midfielder at the moment, and he's got to be patient. And when he gets his chance, he's got to take it. But for me, again, Judgy, that's a really good position for us as a fan base of the club to be in, to have a hungry player who knows he comes in that team, and he doesn't stay in there. He's got to fight for it. He's got to be patient. But when he gets his chance, you're not going to see anything less than, I imagine, 110%.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's not a bad time to come in. It's a weird thing to say because every player wants to play, but it's not a bad time to come in and be on the bench because he'll be learning a lot in training, I think, from them players, as you're alluding to there, in terms of the application and the system and whatever. I think the tweet was alluding to the importance of him and Dwight McNeil, or one of the two, being in the team because of their delivery, the set piece delivery. I think we've seen that a few times at Southampton, that he puts the ball on the money a lot more consistently than Damari Gray does, who's probably the person who's taking set pieces if he's not in the team. James Garner, in fairness, is another level. He's better than McNeil in that respect, but that's only a small part of the game. You can't put, a player in the position which is so key to this team in the team just to take set pieces. So he will bring something eventually. I spoke to you in the WhatsApp group. I spoke to a few people at Forest who've worked with him as in the backroom staff, and they said, look, extremely talented player. He technically he's outstanding. Set plays, he'll give you something really creative. However, he's going to need time to adjust to the physicality of the Premier League. He's not big enough. And I think that might be why we're not seeing him yet. I mean, you look at how physical that midfield is at the moment. Those three have got those outstanding attributes, haven't they? They match anyone for legs and for physicality. And if he hasn't quite got that, it probably significantly weakens us, doesn't it? If he comes in on, off the ball. So, like you say, I think the cup games might be an opportunity. Bournemouth, is it Bournemouth as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we got so the sort of first half of the season ends. We play them twice, once in the cup and then once in the league, and then we end for the World Cup.
Yeah, so you might be onto something that could be a time that he comes in that cup game. But I think if not, it'll almost certainly be in a game that will probably have to be a couple of goals up, which, despite my confidence or increased confidence of our goal scoring ability from last week, I'm not sure I fancy us to be 2 goals up in many of the games coming up.
So what you're basically saying is we're going to see him 30 minutes in on Sunday.
I'd love that to be the case, yeah.
There's plenty of time for him now. I think once we've got the momentum now and the midfield's playing well, I think that's not going to happen, touch wood and all that, but it's not going to be like that all season. There'll certainly be time for him to come in, and when he does come in, it's about taking his chances, isn't it?
100%.
So we've got, obviously, a new sign there. Stay on the social media. We got one from Lee Edwards. Pretty to the point. How would you assess Thelwell's first few months in the job? Obviously, Kevin Thelwell, how are you assessing his first few months?
Well, where we are as a team, I feel already there's improvement from last season. So is that the basis you judge him on? For me, it has to be the first, at least, basis you judge him on, because he's came in after 2 director of footballs who arguably, and I'd say this over the pint with anyone who disagrees, in my opinion, failed. Like, for whatever reason, they failed. So I was cautious of a new one coming in. I was cautious of the entire model because we got that close last season. And I've coined this phrase before, staring into the abyss. I don't think Everton would have really got back up. I think it would have been dangerous. And that comes from the model that's instilled with the director of football and numerous coaches. And there wasn't seemingly, I don't know, there just didn't seem to be a link between youth, coach, how the teams play. And I think looking at it, when you're watching the under-18s, which I did against Man City, saw the highlights, there's been a complete restructure. Jobs for the boys, which has been a joke that we've said in the podcast. We've lost a couple of those already. I mean, we wished them well, David Unsworth and John Eberl. You wished them well, but they're being replaced now by people who necessarily haven't wore the Everton shirt, because seemingly this guy thinks they're qualified to do so. You look at the transfer window. It came out this week that the agreement to sign Conor Cody is £4.5 million. Like, good God, like he must have some Christmas party tales on the Wolves staff to get a deal like that. He must be hovering nudes over in his WhatsApp group. Like, I'm going to release this. So even that, I just think up to now, Judgy for me, it's just been a bit of a breath of fresh air.
I couldn't agree more, and I think you alluded to that that symmetry, if you like, between what the first team staff are looking for and what he's trying to produce below that, and also what he's doing in the market. There does seem to be a more of a connect. You know, whether we've, like you said, we fell upon Neil Maupay, or whether we end up falling upon, you know, Anana or where Joe Garner, I don't know, but there seems to be a lot more balance to the signings. You know, it's not just been going out and getting anyone. I mean, even if we managed to get I can't pronounce his name, Kudus from Ajax. I mean, what a signing that would have been. It looks like we potentially missed out on. I mean, it looks like we're going back in for him potentially in January, but I'm pretty sure that fee is going to be inflated now. He scored in, I think, 2 of the 4 Champions League games he's played, you know, for a decent Ajax side. So we've definitely turned over a new leaf in terms of the way we're going about our business. There's a balance to bringing experienced players in. All the players on the face of it seem to have the right attitude to roll the sleeves up, which, you know, it's been a while since, and I've said it to most people, it's been a while since I've liked Everton players as much as I do. You know, I actually want to get behind them. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they've earned our support somewhat, and I think that's a good feeling, that. And if Kevin Thelwell's, you know, contributed to that, then credit to him so far.
He's got a slightly different job than what the other two had as well, Walsh and Brands, because the money is not there, is he? So he can't go splashing. So he's had to, as Mill said, he might have fell on a couple of players, but has he gone looking for players with that attitude, or does it just so happen that they're the type of players within the budget that he can find? I think it'd be interesting once we do get money in, and you know, whenever that may be, that we can go out and spend money again, whether he sticks to his principles or whether he goes and spends money. I think having that different type of job spec, if you like, has probably helped him in terms of the players he's been able to bring in, which is, you know, positive for Evan. It's just interesting, I think, to see if he carries on with that once we do get a bit of money in.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so we've got one more social media question, which I will put in now. It's slightly off topic a little bit, but it's just it's from Nick Morris. He wants to know, Judgy, you've got 2 small kids and a full-time job, but any chance of putting a website together? No, only joking.
No.
Nick Morris, he said, can we talk a bit more about the Blue podcast and if it's staying like this? And he does want to know if we're getting a new website and perhaps doing a bit on there. Nice one, Nick. I was only taking a piss there, but yeah, we are Blue only. I mean, we thought we made that pretty clear. We're sticking to Blue only. No Reds on the podcast. Maybe we'll invite them on here and there, but it is a weekly Blue podcast, and if we can get more content out as Blues, we will. I know there's an old Tony Cotty interview we put out just the last week gone. But website, I mean, I'm not technical at all. Millsy, is that fall to you? Is that, or Judgy, which one?
Yeah, I mean, to
you, Judgy, isn't it? I think we've passed the book from Terry over to Judgy.
To be perfectly honest, Nick, and to anyone else, the messages or the interaction we get via our website now, in fairness, aside from you, Nick, because you're a regular on there, is fairly limited. And as Pricey alluded to there, I guess that's hence why we are where we are now. It's difficult to commit, you know, the time and investments in that way that we sometimes may need to the podcast. My thoughts on it were to almost do away with the website, because it's kind of just sitting there, and it actually costs money as well. I'm sure most of you will be aware, from whether it's the domains or, you know, the upkeep of the back ends of it. So getting to the point, we're probably thinking more of a link tree, which basically will sit on all of our social medias. You click on it and it takes you to the various channels that you can contact us from. We'll try and look at an alternative to the social media channels for anyone who isn't that way inclined, but I haven't quite got to that point yet. It might just be the only page we've got on our website is Welcome to Across the Park podcast, contact us, and we keep that element. But yeah, it is on the list. So thanks for reminding me, Nick, and getting the lads back on my case. But yeah, that's the plan. We're probably stripping back the website to keep it nice and simple, to keep costs down, and to try, if possible, to keep some kind of contact thing on there at least.
I think we're probably guilty, aren't we? Because when we started the podcast in 2018, we tried to push the website, and if you do look at the website, Across the Park podcast.co.uk, there's old articles on there, and that was us just throwing things at what people wanted, and we very quickly learned that what people didn't really want was articles. They wanted to hear us. They eventually wanted to see us. God knows why, but they did. So we've expanded from audio into video, and what we've tried to do since we've gone blue only is we've sort of revamped Pricey, haven't we, the socials. Like if you look at the socials, that they're all blue, and that has caused, that's caused us to maybe lose some followers, but we've had some really good engagements, like just behind the scenes, the Instagram. We were over 200% up on engagements with some Everton videos, and Pricey, we're trying to tweet more stuff. I think it allows us now, doesn't it, to not have as many Liverpool followers, to put some more blue content on the socials.
Yeah, we were always slightly worried about putting the blue tweets out more so than Reds, and it'd be a bit more blue bias with there being loads of Red followers as well. But if Reds want to keep following, that's fine. But we are aimed solely at Blues now, so we are happy, and we are happy that we can put out those just little tweets, just here and there when some news drops, and we can put something out, and as you say, get a bit of engagement, and just try and fill your social media with some more content that you might enjoy. But yeah, we'll enjoy doing it. We'll enjoy looking at it different ways, and we can bring content to you. And as I say, we've got some old interviews with past players, which we're hoping to get a few more out as well, God willing. And obviously we need permission from them because they were recorded as audios. But if we can get them out and continue to do that, the better.
Just on that, Pricey, we will next week, release the Mark Ward show. Excuse me. So myself and Judgy in lockdown spoke to Mark Ward. The audio show was out way back in, I think it was January, Judgy 2021. Mark has very, very kindly allowed us to put the video on. Similar to Tony Cottee, he was an audio show, me and you, Pricey, wasn't he, back in March, I think it was 2021, the good old days under Carlo. And Tony was great. He said, look, get it out there. I hope it helps. Mark's done the same. So the Mark Ward show will be out next week. I imagine we're going to this is a Thursday, so we're going to let this podcast settle, or this YouTube show settle. But just the first part of it, of Nick's question there, asking about how it's going. I think we've had really great YouTube comments, and I really don't mean this in a bad way, but we've had some YouTube comments, Judge, saying that they're going to watch us more. And that's sort of what we need. We never really wanted to land in a situation. We always wanted to be very, very different, and we still want to be different, but we're no longer really unique. So we do rely on people, spreading the word, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the only thing we've ever tried to stick by is the authenticity of just mates talking about footy. We've almost come synonymous over the last few weeks for getting stuff wrong. But as we always say to each other, we're not paid on Monday Night Football to do this, and as such, we are going to get things wrong. We've also been criticised for looking down, and that's our conscious effort to try and get things as statistically right as we can. But we are just mates talking about footy, and how often do you correct your mate in the pub when he says the wrong thing or whatever, or how often just let it go and listen. As I said last week, we're not bothered about people calling us out. It is what it is, and we appreciate any feedback and comments, but it's the authenticity of it that we want to try and maintain more than anything else. We're not claiming to be experts. Very few people are. We're just mates talking about footy.
Yeah, we do enjoy the comments, and we read them, and we try and respond, and it's all banter, it's all good, it's all part of it, so we enjoy it.
Yeah.
All I wanted to say there was, again, the investment side. We are a free show, and we've invested some of our money into some equipment, shall we say, which might help you watching the instant match reaction, because we know that we've done the Nottingham Forest instant match reaction, we've done it outside the grounds. We haven't got expensive kit, and we heard you say that you couldn't really hear us, and then we've tried to move location, which has helped. We think the Liverpool instant match reaction and the West Ham instant match reaction went down a lot better. But I think it's important for us to really bring you the best content that we possibly can. So we have invested in some kits. So we're hoping that maybe on Sunday you'll be able to see the benefits of that as well.
Seamless link into Sunday there, Mills.
Yeah. I'm a professional.
We did plan, by the way, to discuss the potential takeover, but I think we'll probably leave that for another week. I think it's not going to be one, I don't think, that's going to be resolved overnight. Obviously, there is a lot of strong rumours out there, but they are, in fairness, only rumours at the moment. So we will park that for another night before anyone says, why have you not mentioned that? It is still very strong rumours in it rather than anything else. We'll keep that next week.
Yeah, I think we want to have a decent discussion about it as well. We don't want to rush through. We want to have a good discussion about it, and as you obviously see what lands this week.
I'll tell you what, if something does happen, we can do an instant reaction as well, can't we? So if something does move quite quickly, then we will bring something to you as well.
Absolutely.
Right, on to Sunday then, boys. Anyone who's seen the United game will know that they were absolutely terrible, as good as City were. United, similar position to when they got beat by Brentford. They then had Liverpool in the next game, and they seem to come back stronger, if you like, against Liverpool. Are we worried for Sunday?
I'm watching them. I'm watching them now. So they're at that 77 minutes and they're winning 2-1. I was actually really hoping that they'd give this team. So playing Nicosia in the Europa League. I was really hoping that they'd give them a hiding, just to sort of get that, angriness.
I don't agree. I know what you're saying, like it's kind of get that out the system and stuff, but you don't want them getting too much momentum going into the game. I think there's a little bit of unrest rippling, behind the scenes with the whole Ronaldo being picked, not being picked. He started tonight. I'm not sure if he scored or not. But I just think there's a little bit of unrest behind the scenes, and I think that's something we want to keep going into the next game. So no, Ronaldo actually hasn't scored tonight.
Not scored, no.
Should Martial have come off the bench and got the goal? So, yeah, look, I don't think there's ever, in my opinion, a good time to play a top team, and they are still a top team regardless of form. They're still a dangerous side. They got a lot of players who can score goals, who can hurt you. However, I don't think it's the worst time to play them either. They have been exposed by a couple of teams this year. Brentford, we spoke. You mentioned there, Millsy. City obviously are exceptional. I don't think you can really put City, in my opinion, in anyone else's league right now. Not least because of Haaland, but the likes of Foden in the form that he was in, and Mahrez, Grealish, De Bruyne. Obviously, the list is endless in terms of their quality. But from our perspective, I think the biggest encouragement is they can, you can get at them, and I don't think they're fragile to some extent, aren't they? And I think they're not a team that's synonymous at the moment with work rate and application, and that's what we've got in our favour.
The dangerous thing for me is you don't know what Man United you're going to get. They're so inconsistent. You look at the game they played against Arsenal at Old Trafford, and they were brilliant, tactically brilliant, and they bounced back from that Brentford defeat, and I think they had a bit of a mini run where they were all of a sudden looking good, and then you go to City, and I don't know how tonight's game will finish. It might not even end in a positive result for them, and that's United. And for me, you can't really predict or prepare for inconsistency, because Sunday night at Goodison, for me, it could very easily be 2-0 to either side. Pricey, I don't know what I'm going to predict.
Well, I think they sort of changed the way they played a bit. United, after that Brentford game, they stopped passing out from the back as much as they did before. But I'll flip it on its head and say, we're wondering whether it's a good time to play United. But from Everton's point of view, it's a great chance to play United. A night game under the lights at Goodison. We're on a bit of a run of, won the last 2, unbeaten in 5 or whatever it is. I think we've got to look at ourselves and say, no, we're positive about this. We go above them if we beat them. I think it's a good, from our point of view, it's a good opportunity and a good chance to play them, I think. And I think if we can get at them, as I say, if the Goodison crowd is as we know it can be under the lights, then I think they'll shit themselves, if I'm being honest, and we get at them.
Yeah, you're right. And to be honest, that was going to be my next point, is I don't think that's going to be Lampard's or the coaching squad, or the coaching team's message or concern. It's going to be, look, they're here to come and try and beat us. We've just got to go and play as we do at Goodison, get the fans behind us, make it difficult for them, go and get at them. And I look at our, and we've, as you said, Pricey, we waxed lyrical about that midfield last week, and these didn't let us down going into this week. I'd sooner have our midfield right now than theirs, because we know they've got an identity on midfield. They know what they're about. Whereas their midfield, it's almost like they kind of get ahead of themselves, and they feel as though the fans expecting more of them than they're actually willing to produce or capable of producing. Our midfield know exactly what we're about, and I know exactly what we're trying to produce, and I think that's more dangerous to them than their midfield is to us. I think it's a good opportunity again for this side to kind of further vindicate their progress. And look, if they can keep this Man United team out, I'm fairly certain we can score against them, and therefore, I think it's a good, it's a good opportunity for us this weekend.
What I will say is my boss from work is a Man United fan, and he's not looking forward to it. And it's been, as up and down as they've been. You're talking about a team who finished second only 2 seasons ago, so they are still a good team. And when United have hard times, I don't pity them, because their hard times are finishing 6th or something, and it's something that we're still striving to get to. So I'm looking at him, my boss, as part of their fan base. He's not looking forward to United going to Everton, and I think sometimes as fans we may not see this. So I think it was important to bring that in. And what you said there, Pricey, about the night time at Goodison under the lights, I think that's massive. I think the way we're playing at the moment, and touch wood, if you don't have any injuries, and we can put out the same team, then we're guaranteed, for me, that team will get the crowds up by how they play.
So is it unchanged for you, Mills? McNeil instead of Gordon. You wouldn't bring Gordon back in?
Look, going back to how we started the show, talking about McNeil and his social media post about how he's tried to get confidence, he's tried to get better. And I think he's brought lots to this team defensively. I think I'm looking back to how we set up against Leeds, where we unleashed Patterson, and every time Patterson went forward, McNeil tucked in. His stats this season say that he's ran around, he's defended, he's pressed. And I think to take someone out of the team who's just now added something which he didn't get at all last season for his other club, a goal. He's got a goal. He's got the winning goal. I think for me, Judgy, it's the same team.
Or does Damari Gray come out? He seems to be. I don't know about what you think, and I'm sure Evertonians will recognise this. He seems to be almost the mainstay, doesn't he? Damari Gray seems to be the manager's, favourite, so to speak. And to a certain extent, you can see why. He is that player at the moment for us. He picks the ball up, and he almost every time seems to try and make something happen. He'll go and beat a player. He's definitely got a bit of a nice chip on his shoulder, if you know what I mean. He's got a bit of a swagger about him at the moment.
He's dangerous. I think he's dangerous. I think even though the end product isn't there, I think the way he makes Everton go up the field is quite dangerous, and it gives us options, doesn't it, when he gets the ball? Because, and then going back to maybe the striker situation, if you had a really, really top striker who could move around and things, I think Damari Gray would look good next to him, because I just think when he gets the ball, it's just let's go and try and get Everton a goal.
There's no reason to take him out, is there? At the moment, there's no reason to take Gray out the team. Gordon's come out the team because of illness. Give McNeil his chance, but there's no reason to take Gray out. I don't think. And if McNeil's took his chance, as Millsy says, his confidence is up. Leave him in.
It is, and you're right to ask the question, though, Millsy. I think it is an interesting. It's an interesting dilemma for him, isn't it? I think it's he has had.
We had a good.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
And do you think there's like I'm saying, don't change the team, but do you think now I look across different areas, and I think we are blessed with good dilemmas.
And it's been a while, hasn't it, since we had that luxury. So is it? Are we fairly consistent with that it's an unchanged team then? I don't think there's anywhere else really across the pitch that you would make a change. That midfield three, any injuries barring, picks itself. I don't, we're still not. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's still not going to be fit, I don't think, for that game. So Maupay still leads the line.
What about Keane for Cody? Sorry,
Class.
Predictions, Mills. Predictions, lads. Come on.
Yeah.
Under the lights, a nice couple of cold Guinnesses in me pre-game. Seeing you two doing the instant match reaction in a nice, good mood after a victory. Everton 2, Manchester United 1.
Can I just rewind there, Mills? Are you allowed a bevy on a Sunday now? Or?
No, but she doesn't watch this.
2-1 to the Blues. I'd love it. Go on, Judge.
I'm going to go 1-0. I think it'll be a proper old school gritty performance against. I say gritty performance. I think we'll outdo them in the areas that we need to, and I fancy I fancy Tarkowski to get on the score sheet from a corner. Proper Duncan style. Just come and just smash through everyone at the Gaza Street. Listen, I'd take anything if it gets us 3 points on Sunday, but I'm certainly looking forward to it. I think that preview has just whet my appetite even more. But listen, thanks everyone for tuning in this week. Hope you enjoyed it. I think we covered most of the things we'd like to. Like I said, we'll touch on the potential takeover next week if that gets any closer. Like Pricey said, we want to try and get into that a little bit more because I think there's a lot to consider, given that what Moshiri has and hasn't achieved since he's been here and the significance of his leadership, if you call it that. But thanks for joining us and enjoy your weekend. We'll catch you next week.